Hey everybody, this is Chris at Zenorc Reptiles. I am a reptile enthusiast. This is a reptile community channel where I try to help you guys out and you guys try to help me out along the way. I try to give you ideas and answer questions. So feel free to comment below if you have any questions to ask me. I've been working with reptiles for a long time, mainly ball pythons and bearded dragons. Anyways, before we get started, please feel free to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. What that notification bell does for you, keeps you in the loop of my upcoming videos. Also helps me build my channel. I do appreciate it. Also, if you would hit that like button, what that like button does for me, kind of gauges me on which way to go with my videos. Anyways, also, a couple announcements here. I'm thinking about going, doing 3 videos a week. So Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Kind of comment below, yes or no. What do you think? Should I just stick with 2 or should I try 3? It's something I'm thinking about doing and I'm not 100% sure yet. Also, I have an Instagram account and it's at Zenorc Reptiles. I promise you today I'm going to start posting more on there. I've been kind of lazy with that. I even did a video today saying I've been lazy with Instagram, and that's soon to change. I'll start posting more often. Anyways, guys, so let's get this started. Today I'm going to talk about 7 things that I wish I knew when I first started breeding rats. Also, I was thinking about doing maybe one rat video a week if I do this 3 days, because people like my rat videos and have a lot of questions about them, but I'll probably still do 2 of my normal videos. Okay, here we go. So 7 things I wish I knew when I started breeding rats. The first one I wish I knew, and this one's the big one for me, is having a breeding schedule. When I first started breeding rats, I built me a rack with 6 tiers. I went down to Lowe's, got me some cement tubs, and built me a framed it, with some lumber, took some mesh, put it on the top. I will show you my rat racks right here. Anyways, so I made these and I went and bought 10 rats. So I just threw all the females with the males and let them go at it. So I was in a hurry to build my colony, so I just let them go be crazy, and they started coming out. Babies started coming out. I kept back all my females and some of my males. Then after a while, I started feeding some of my males off and just keeping females. And then I built some more racks till I had 4 racks, 6 tubs, and I was keeping 3 females in each tub. Once they were growing up, let them raise up with their mother, and put them in the next bin. So I had all these females in these racks with males, and they were just going to town. And next thing you know, I had so many rats that I didn't know what to do with. So I had an overpopulation problem, which brings me into number 2. What brings me into number 2 is knowing how many rats to breed for, how many snakes you have. Which brings me to number 2 is knowing how many rats to breed for how many snakes you have. I found a good rule of thumb is to probably have 1 female rat per 2 snakes. I know some people do 1 snake, 1 rat, but for me it's worked out for if I have 2 ball pythons, I keep 1 female rat breeding. So I do have a schedule. So I don't put the males in there all the time. I go down 1 rack or sometimes 2. I do 2 right now because I have such a demand for rats. You can watch my other rat videos. I'm selling rats here in Washington. I drive them to different places and I can't keep up as of right now. That's why I'm trying to expand my rat business. But when I first started out, I had an overflow. And so now I take the males and I put them with the females. I mark down when I did it, so I have an idea when those females are going to have babies. And it pretty much works almost always on time. So after I keep them in there for about 3 to to 5 days, I move them on to the next rack. Or sometimes I wait 2 weeks if I don't want too many, but right now I'm moving every 5 days because I want a lot of rats right now. But I'm just saying, you might be just breeding for your colony of snakes or your collection. What you might want to think about doing is like leaving the males in one rack for like 2 weeks and then moving them over to another rack for 2 weeks. Just depends on how much you're doing. Right now I'm trying to breed them for other people. If you're doing it for yourself, but every 2 to 3 weeks you move the males over, and you mark the time and you have an idea when they're going to have babies. And it seems like it takes about I believe it's 26 days. I could be wrong, but I believe it's 26 days they start having babies. This one right here only takes effect if you're going to breed Norwegian rats, or you can call them fancy rats, normal rats you get at pet stores, and that is having a vented window. I learned the hard way. I did have a little vent on the ground. It was actually I had a carbon filter down with a vent fan sucking the air through the carbon, and it helped out a lot, but it did not keep it down, especially when I started getting the 4 to 6 racks and I started breeding them pretty hardcore. My garage stunk and I couldn't stand going down there. I did make a window, a vent on the window, and it's really kept the smell down tenfold. I've also have a video how to keep the smell down. It does help a lot. It does still have a little bit of rat smell, but it's barely. I mean, if you're in my garage, you can smell them, but it's not unpleasant. It's just you can smell them a little bit. But if you change them about every 5 to 7 days, on that 7th day, you're probably starting to get a little stinky. I'd say about 5 or 6 days is about as far as I'd ever go. But I also use pellets and PDZ, keeps that smell down. And also, it's really good to have a cleaning schedule. This is not on my list, but this should be on my list, is that I have a day where I go down there when I'm doing something. I'll clean a certain section of rats. The next day, I'll clean a certain section, so on and so on. It makes it a lot easier instead of doing it all at once. Spending one day down there just cleaning them. I mean, if you're doing this full time, it's easy. But say if I'm coming home from work, I get off at 5 o'clock. I come home, I clean one section. It takes me about an hour, maybe half hour, and then I can go out and do something else. After I check all my stuff out, my snakes and stuff, and then go do something else. So it's a lot easier to do a schedule. That wasn't on the list, but that's a bonus one right there. Another problem you can have, and I figured this out right away, is overworking your females. If you constantly keep a male in there, or you're not kind of giving them a break, they kind of get overworked, and you can really tell because they stop having babies, or they have very few, like 3 to 4, and you realize you've been working them. I know it's kind of hard, but you can get a rack and kind of take your females out and give them at least a couple weeks off, or 2 to 3. I usually give it a month off and put them in this rack and let them calm down, feed them, give them vegetables, get them all healthy before I breed them again. That really helps out because you will know the drop off. They'll have instead of having 10, 14, 15, 16 babies, they'll start having 4, 3 babies in. You can tell the mother starts getting a little skinny, and that's when it's time for them to go into the vacation bin. That's what we call it jokingly here. That kind of brings it into the next section, is culling some of the, when you have big litters, I try to cull some, and I mean what that means is that I actually feed some off, or I freeze them. I do kill them humanely. I do use CO2, but you'll thank me later, especially if you are doing this for your home snakes, is if you take a section, say like you're gonna do half, you freeze them, you kill them and freeze them, put them away. That way the mom does not work so hard, and also you have different pinkies, but you also have some growing up. So if you take a certain amount, say you want to do a third of those, kill them off and freeze them. And the thing is, I'm telling you right now, if you sell rats, pinkies, fuzzies are gonna be some of your top sellers. At least for me, that seems to be the most common people want. People that have ball pythons usually want mediums or smalls that breed, but most of the people that come and buy them want pinkies, and you can never have enough pinkies or fuzzies. But if you take them and you slowly cull them off, say you do a third of them as pinkies, wait till they're fuzzy, do a little bit more, maybe do a quarter of them, and do a quarter of them in fuzzies, and then the mother's not work so hard and you have some other ones growing up. That's worked out really well for me. That one's not really a must, but it really helps out because you're not having all these babies grow up and you don't have to worry about the grow up bin so much where you have, next thing you know, you have like 100 and you're trying to get rid of them and you'll either have to freeze them or call them off. It's just a lot easier to do it slowly, and it's also better on the mothers. I know it sounds bad, you're taking their babies away. I know that sounds horrible, but the truth is that it's easier on the mother and it gives you different varieties of rat sizes. Again, which brings you into the next one right here, is that make sure, anyways, this is a big one, make sure that you are putting some females away, raising them up. So don't kill all your females off, don't sell all your females off, keep some in like the vacation bin or wherever, an extra bin, to cycle out some of the older females or the overworked females so you don't lose that downtime. So what I do is I take a certain amount of females out and I keep them and I cycle them out. After a while, your females get to work too hard, they are done producing and you have to, I do keep some for a nursery. The mothers will still produce milk and still feed them, but they're not gonna have babies anymore. So you have to call them off and feed them off. I know this is such a bad subject, talking about killing rats. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I love rats. I have pet rats. I do like them, but my animal has to eat, and that's just part of life. I mean, I know humans can be vegetarians. My daughter is, and I have been in the past, but I do like my steak, and I do like my chicken and my pork. But it's just a necessary evil that they animals have to have them, and that's just what it is. But I do love rats as pets. I think they're amazing. They're smart, and they make just as great pets as cats and dogs. That's honest to God truth. This is a big one that I've seen lots of people have a problem with, and they don't understand why their rats get sick. And that is, I have a bucket system with water. This happened to me too. I had a bucket system with water, and I didn't change it out enough. I just filled it back up, and after a while, I didn't realize my rats started getting sick, and I looked at it and it started growing lots of algae, and I had to take it out and clean it out. Now I clean it out about every month. I take it down and scrub it out and put some bleach in there. But I do put some, I learned this, put some apple cider vinegar in there. You don't put a lot in there because if it gets too much, the rats won't drink it because it's nasty. But if you put some, like about anywhere from like 6 to 8 caps in there, it really keeps that algae down, and it really helps out. I learned this from somebody else. I don't remember who I learned it from. I'm sorry, whoever told me this, but it really helps out and it keeps the algae down. But you're gonna have to eventually take that down, rinse it out, bleach it, and then clean it back up and put fresh water in there, because those buckets do get nasty over time. And also, I do take my rat nipples off and I do clean them. I take them out, clean them all off, and then put them back on, because they will get nasty, and you'll tell, because if you get too much algae in there, I mean, I've had it before where it'll start filling up the bins because they'll start leaking, the water system will. So definitely make sure that you're cleaning the nipples and cleaning that bucket all the time. That's a big one. And also, I guess, let's go for number 9 here. When you're disinfecting your rat cages, just make sure you do it well. I try to use 2 different cleaners, because this is kind of what I was going to say. I'm going to give you number 9, is that I like to add different colors to my collection, because I do have people that want pets, and I also breed pet rats. You watch other videos, I do breed pet rats. So if I see a weird looking color one at the pet store, I pick it up. And I made a mistake at one time buying one from a pet store. Came home and it almost wiped out my colony because it was sick. So just like your snakes, when you buy a snake, you quarantine them, you should definitely quarantine your rats. And make sure every time you clean that you are disinfecting those bins well. And when you get a new rat to add to your colony, I almost wiped out my colony doing this, so definitely quarantine them for a while. I know it sounds crazy, but you do it with your snakes. If you get a brand new snake, when I get a brand new snake, I always treat them for mites, and I quarantine them. I always treat for mites, because I had an outbreak one time, and never again, because it was a nightmare. It actually I found out how from mussel serpents how to get rid of them, and it worked like a charm. So thank you so much for that. But I don't want mites ever again, and that was no fun. And so when I get them, I treat them instantly, and I put them in quarantine. So same with my rats. I like to add different colors to my thing just so they won't be black, white. I like different colors. People just want pets too, so just be careful. I got some sick, and I lost half of my breeding females, and that was a while back when I was about the first 6 months I was starting out. So just be careful with that. Anyways, guys, if you have any more questions, feel free to comment below. Also, I'm pretty cool about helping you guys out, so you can go to my Facebook and message me. I try to get back to you guys if you guys need questions. That's what I'm here for. We are a reptile community. I'm trying to help you guys out, and I've got plenty of ideas from you guys. That's the reason why we do these videos, to get better at what we do, what we love, and we can all work together and make this community stronger. Anyways, guys, I love you. Don't forget to check out some of my videos right here. I'd really appreciate it. If you wouldn't mind, please subscribe. I appreciate it. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Also, it's the only way I'm going to grow my channel. I do appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Love you. I'll see you next time.